It was late at night when Ethan noticed the light again. Every evening as he walked home from work, he passed the same old house at the end of the street. Most houses were dark by that hour, but one small window always glowed warmly. That light stood out against the quiet darkness, calm and steady, like it was waiting for someone. Ethan lived alone in a small apartment nearby. His days were busy, but his nights were silent. After losing his parents a few years ago, life had slowly become lonely. Friends moved on, routines changed, and conversations became shorter. Yet somehow, that simple light in the window made his walk home feel less empty. At first, Ethan did not think much about it. He assumed someone inside the house worked late or simply liked keeping the light on. But night after night, the light remained. Rainy evenings, cold winters, quiet weekends, it was always there. Without realizing it, Ethan began to look for it every day. One evening, after a long and difficult day, Ethan walked more slowly than usual. His job felt heavy, and his thoughts were full of worry. When he reached the end of the street and saw the light shining softly, he stopped. For the first time, he stood still and looked at it carefully. It felt warm, comforting, almost inviting.
Ethan wondered who lived there. He imagined an elderly person sitting quietly, or maybe someone waiting for a loved one to return home. He felt a strange connection, even though he had never met the person inside. The light felt like a silent message saying, "You are not alone." Days passed, and the light became part of Ethan's routine. On nights when he felt tired or discouraged, seeing it gave him a sense of peace. It reminded him that life continued, that warmth still existed somewhere, even when the world felt cold. One night, as Ethan walked by, he noticed something different. The light flickered slightly, then dimmed. His heart felt uneasy. For the first time in months, he reached the house and found the window dark. The light was gone. Ethan stood there longer than he expected. The street felt colder, quieter, and strangely empty. He realized how much that small light had meant to him. Without it, the walk home felt heavier, and the silence felt deeper.
The next day, Ethan could not stop thinking about it. He felt worried for the person inside the house, even though he had never spoken to them. That evening, instead of walking past, he slowly stepped closer to the door. His heart beat faster as he raised his hand and knocked gently. After a moment, the door opened. An elderly woman stood there, looking surprised but kind. Her eyes were gentle, and her voice was soft. She explained that she had been sick and unable to turn on the light for a few days. Ethan felt relieved just hearing her speak. They talked briefly at the door. She told him that she kept the light on every night because it made her feel safe. After her husband passed away, the house felt too dark without it. The light helped her feel less alone. Ethan listened quietly. He realized that the light was not just comforting him, it was comforting her too. In that moment, he understood that both of them had been sharing the same loneliness without knowing it. From that night on, Ethan began visiting her sometimes. He helped with small things, carried groceries, and shared short conversations. The house that once felt distant now felt warm and welcoming. The light in the window still shone, but now it meant something deeper. As weeks passed, Ethan felt a change within himself. His nights felt less silent, and his heart felt lighter. The light was no longer just something he looked at from the outside. It had become a symbol of connection, kindness, and shared human warmth. One evening, as Ethan walked home after visiting her, he realized something important. Sometimes a small light can guide someone through darkness without a single word. Sometimes hope appears quietly, asking only to be noticed.
The light in the window continued to glow, not just as a habit, but as a reminder that even in loneliness, kindness can connect lives, and sometimes the smallest light can change two hearts forever. As the months went by, Ethan and the elderly woman, whose name was Mrs. Harper, grew more comfortable with each other. Their conversations became longer and more meaningful. Sometimes they spoke about simple things, like the weather or old movies. Other times, they shared memories that had been hidden away for years. Each visit made the house feel more alive. Mrs. Harper often spoke about her late husband and the quiet life they once shared. She described how the light in the window had become her nightly routine after he passed away. Turning it on felt like a small act of courage, a way of telling herself that she was still here and still connected to the world outside. Ethan shared his own story as well. He spoke about losing his parents, about the empty apartment, and about how nights felt endless. Saying these things out loud felt strange at first, but also healing. Mrs. Harper listened patiently, never interrupting, offering comfort through her presence rather than her words. One evening, a heavy storm passed through the neighborhood. The wind howled and rain tapped loudly against the windows. Ethan worried about Mrs. Harper and decided to check on her. When he arrived, the light in the window was on, glowing warmly through the rain. Seeing it filled him with relief. Inside, they sat together, drinking warm tea and listening to the storm. The house felt safe, peaceful, and full of quiet understanding. Ethan realized that the light had done more than guide him home. It had guided him toward human connection when he needed it the most. Over time, Ethan noticed that he was no longer afraid of the nights. He started enjoying the silence, knowing it no longer meant loneliness. He also began reaching out to others, reconnecting with old friends, and opening himself to new experiences. The light had reminded him that people are closer than we think. One evening, Mrs. Harper handed Ethan a small lamp. She smiled and told him she wanted him to have it. She said it was important for everyone to have their own light. Ethan accepted it with gratitude, understanding the meaning behind the gesture. That night, Ethan placed the lamp near his own window and turned it on. As he stood back, he saw its gentle glow fill the room. For the first time in years, his home felt truly warm. The light in the window was no longer just something he noticed on the street. It had become a lesson he would carry forever, a lesson about kindness, presence, and the quiet ways hope can enter our lives and stay.